Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles 10 and Tech. I'm Carlos Casanova and I'm here with my co-hosts Kathleen Wilson.
Good morning.
Hey Kathleen. And Kirsten McGowan from all the way almost down under in New Zealand. How you doing, Kirsten?
Good, thanks, Carlos.
And our guest today is Kevin Smith from Avanti. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, good to be with you guys. Thank you. Hey,
Kevin. So I understand you joined the ranks of book authors, and that's always I know when I did mine, it was like, why did I spend that much time on this? But what you wrote about seems pretty interesting in terms of where we are from an industry perspective. We've been seeing for the last few years, a lot of change in service management, a lot of change in IT. With a lot, especially all the software-defined fill-in-the-blank kind of thing coming forward, and I believe your book kind of touches on that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the vision for the book and the sort of the message that it's trying to share with the community?
Yeah, the vision for the book was to try to capture this amazing journey we've traveled with Helpdesk, Service Desk, and now Service Management, and trying to describe how organizations have been successful and doing Service Desk and Service Management. So it's called Class ITSM. And I try to make it both what has been proven to work and aspirational and looking to the future and how we can do some things better.
Cool.
And I would just add to that, that it is, I think the ITSM is really strategic. It's not just running a service desk, it's strategic to IT. And you can't be great. I make the point in the book that you can't be great at IT if you're not great at service management. These things go hand in hand, and you can use service management as a platform for so many things that we have to do in IT. And in many ways, it's the hub of the wheel that is IT today and what IT will be in the future.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely changing quite a bit, now. I mean, I see it with my clients, the pace and speed. I know some words are almost getting reserved now. I know some individuals I work with don't like using the word velocity because there's no units around it. So they're really looking at, throughput. And I think service management is one of those areas that we can definitely slow down the throughput. It's more of a stop put kind of thing. So, how do you see that changing? I mean, from the service management, base where, we've always been envisioned as, we stop things from going into production when they're potentially bad, right? But that stopping and slow down was sort of by design. And now that's what's kind of making departments and stuff kind of go around us in a sense. Is that kind of where you're seeing things?
What I'm seeing is that it's a matter of balance. We have to know when to slow down, and we have to know when to go fast. And one speed does not work. And we tend to think of things in absolute terms, and we always have to go fast, or we always have to do this. There are times when we have to go really slow and be very meticulous and be very precise. And then there are times when we have to recognize that's no longer appropriate and we have to go really fast. And overall, the cadence of IT is going to increase. The cadence of IT is going to be much faster because it will no longer, and let's look forward for a minute, in 2018 and 2019 is no longer enough to be really good. We have to be really good and we have to be really fast. And I don't think IT nor ITSM have always thought of it in those terms. If you ask our teams exactly how long does it take to offboard an employee, or exactly how long does it take to fulfill a service request, we say things like it takes about a day or it takes about a week. Well, we have to know it takes 7 hours and 20 minutes or it takes 4 days and an hour. We have to be precise because until we're precise, we can't get faster. So we have to put everything we do on a stopwatch.
So, Kevin, how do you see the impact of things like artificial intelligence, machine learning, and other automation type technologies impacting on service management in the coming years?
Yeah, I love AI. The greatest hit on AI in the last 10 years has been unrealistic expectations. Because we've expected it to do so much, it couldn't possibly live up to those expectations. So I think today things like, you know, we all know about Google Home or Siri, those have become part of our lives. Think of that in terms of 1,000 times more capable and an intelligent assistant that helps us do things every day in IT so that humanity can be better. And I don't buy into this concept that AI is threatening humanity. I think AI will make humanity better, because there are things that you just can't replace. There are things about emotion and judgment and a sense of humor and compassion that are unique to humanity. So let's put our people in a position where we can leverage humanity, and then let's offload a lot of the other tasks that AI and automation can now take care of. And what it ends up being is this partnership. It'll be this amazing partnership between humanity and AI. That's what I think the next 10 years looks like.
So getting back to is like, where have we failed in traditional IT service management, and what's the first thing we should focus on as we move to a more modern approach and in the future of service management? Where would you start?
I would start with things like being personal. I think traditional service management was too impersonal. We tried to do one size fits all for the sake of efficiency. We had this culture of cost savings and efficiency in IT, and we love our efficiency and we love our cost savings, but that was sometimes at the expense of being personal. So I think we have to be more personal. I do think that service requests and service catalog have made a big difference. Self-service have allowed us to be a little more personal, a little more versatile. Sometimes I want to do something at 10 at night when I get to my hotel room, and I don't need to talk to a person. I don't need to talk to an analyst or an agent to do that. And so I think and this comes back to flexibility, agile. At the heart of agile is kind of giving people what they want, when they want it, how they want it. So I think when we get a little more personal, we operate a little more around the clock, we're a little more flexible, and we are able to move a little faster, it kind of starts to change the whole landscape of how we operate in service management. And I want to come back to a specific example, and I think service catalog is a great example of how IT has become less traditional IT, but stayed true to some of our core IT capabilities. And that's why it's become popular with like HR and facilities and marketing. Well, that's how we've moved beyond IT, and we never would have done that with incidents. Service catalog and self-service have allowed us to reach out to the broader business.
Yeah, it's interesting, Kevin. You know, you're talking about that, and you know, one of the clients that I'm with now, they're very heavy into the DevOps, Agile, and the catalog piece really enables. It's a global organization, and that's where we no longer have Monday to Friday. When you're a global organization, you're 7 days a week. The good old days of we do maintenance on Sunday morning. Before we go back up. Those days are long gone, right? And kind of aging ourselves here. But in order for that to work, you have to have a component of automation, right? Because I'm submitting a request at Friday night, Friday night at 10 o'clock, because I'm a night owl, so I'm going to get that done. But I need that request to spin up a server for me, which is automation, which may touch into the dev environment. So I need other things built on it. Again, all of that happens behind the scenes, but it has to happen during my time frame. I can't submit the request Friday night and then roll in Monday morning. What was the point? What was the point in me, submitting it Friday night? And I think that's the new dynamic. And, there are lots of components there that are service management related. Do I have the general authority to make that request? And maybe even roll in some, if you're looking at really the cadence, like you mentioned, cadence, making those small every 2 hour changes. That's not a Monday to Friday exercise. That's when it happens. So that's where I really see a lot of this happening. So your book. I mean, how does and Kathleen kind of asked that. Those first steps. What are the main things to worry about, watch out for, or avoid in kind of heading down this road? What should people really be careful about?
Well, there are these potholes in how we work in IT today, and you just gave a great example. It used to be that when we needed something, there was always this waiting period, this delay at the beginning of a process. So if you wanted to ask for something on a Friday night, if we're not using automation, chances are nothing's going to happen until sometime on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But with automation, we can take the first steps. When you make your request on a Friday night, let's say you're asking for a new mobile phone, or you're asking for a new application to be installed, you're asking for a new Adobe application to be installed on your desktop or your laptop, we can do about 80 or 90% of that work now through automation. It's not rocket science. It's fairly simple automated workflow. And what that means is you're going to get what you need either before Monday or Monday morning versus waiting to get an update probably Monday afternoon and then getting what you need sometime later in the week. So I think one huge pothole that we need to overcome is this initial delay or this initial waiting period. And automation can bridge that gap and take immediate action no matter when somebody is saying, hey, they're raising their hand and saying, hey, I need something.
Yeah, IT's becoming, well, has to become more responsive to the business and providing things when they're needed. Yeah.
And around the clock. And around the clock, right? So anytime you want it, you know, how often are we asking for something later in the day or early in the morning because the middle of the meat of our day is taken up with meetings or conference calls?
So
and it's just incredibly inefficient. And that's why this simple model, look at companies that are using things like self-service and service catalog. 10 years ago, it was probably 10%. Today, it's probably 75 or 80%. And it's going to be 100% 5 years from now. As automation gets better and better, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff that never gets touched, a lot of basic stuff. Again, I don't want to diminish the compassion, judgment, sense of humor that people bring. Let them focus on those special cases. But automation is going to handle a lot of this blocking and tackling that happens in IT every day.
Yep.
So, Kevin, what I'm seeing here is that the human element, and maybe I'm making an assumption, human element and the compassion and everything is probably best served in a situation where you're focusing on incidents. What you're saying is that service requests should be all automated.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like if an organization was going to start, you would have to go and look at where humans are the ones pushing the buttons to start a process, and you need to have the automation in front, and then just use humans as a backstop if automation fails. But that would become an incident. So if an organization could look at all their services, define them on a service catalog, and then look at from the click-through as a customer interface, is that those should all be automated.
Yeah, I like that model. I think that's a very good model where you say standard incidents, most of what we do in incidents, escalations, a lot of that is going to involve a human element. Service requests, where you have a question or you need access to a knowledge item, you have a common request, a lot of that can be automated. And I don't think it's unreasonable to say that's 80 or 90% automated in the next couple of years. And then you're backstopping everything with humans because stuff goes wrong, or you have you got a customer issue. That's when humans are backstopping or a safety net. Let's say humans are a safety net for the automation, but that automation is going to do more and more. And I think in the case of service requests, most of which are pretty well defined, that's 90% for automation.
Thanks, Kevin. This has been a really interesting conversation, and I think you can probably guess that all of us on the panel are pretty passionate about it too. So we could keep talking for hours here. It's been a great chat. So one last thing, where can people find your book?
On Amazon or on Barnes & Noble. I have a hardcover, which I like because I love the feeling of a hardback book, but I also have a paperback, and it's also available electronically on Kindle. And there are lots of other retailers, but Barnes & Noble and Amazon are a good place to start. And I'll publish a new book about the future of IT. It's called The IT Imperative. I've finished writing it. It's going to be published in March, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Kevin.
Very good.
Well, thank you. Thanks so much for your time. It's been a fascinating chat today.
My pleasure. Enjoyed being with you guys.
Thank you, Kevin.